Hey, welcome back to ADHD Downloads. This is part of the movement ADHD is over. And if you're new to this, don't freak out. I'm not saying that people don't struggle with these behaviors that we call symptoms of what we then label as ADHD. So I'm aware of the struggles. I've struggled with that myself. My son has, my oldest son. But this movement is to inspire people to look beyond the mainstream narrative. And ADHD downloads is a way of saying, look, I have these long, often thoughts and rants around the topic that has to do with ADHD. And I invite you to listen to this with an open mind, just like I did when early on some alternative powerful thinkers in the ADHD space and the adjacent space of trauma, healing, and parenting and education and so forth blew my mind by using essentially logic. So if you're open-minded enough to apply logic to some of the stuff that I'm sharing here, you'll be fine. If you're already preset and determined, like ADHD is a disorder, it's valid, it's a thing in your brain, it's a mental disorder, it's a medical disorder, it's due to chemical imbalance and dopamine receptor issues, and the mainstream narrative. If you're set on that and you're not willing to change your mind, I'd say move on. Don't finish this video because it won't be of value to you. But if you're open-minded, and not to say you're not an open-minded person in general, but if you're closer-minded when it comes to ADHD, not your channel, not your video. But if you're open-minded in that space, continue, and I won't make this a long rant. So what's really been on my mind is sort of the main, what I call half-truths around ADHD. And the video I did before was about ADHD not being a medical disorder. And today I want to talk about ADHD not being genetic. Now, it's partially true, because genes do affect our behavior, right? The way we live, who we become. What's not true about the mainstream narrative that says that ADHD is a genetic disorder, meaning you will get it from your parents, or, if it's in your family, if it runs in your family, you'll get it. Most likely, they'll add that. But it's really more of a difference between if we say it's genetic, there's nothing you can do. It's predetermined. You will have this thing because your dad had it or your mother had it, right? What I want to point you to is the science of epigenetics. Do some research on it. Don't take my word for it. But epigenetics has clearly proven, there's no doubt, there's no debunking of what I'm about to say. Epigenetics shows that the genes, our genes, are not predetermined, meaning they will get turned on or turned off through the influence of the environment. So in other words, it then wires our whole system, right? Our brain. So what that means is that we're not actually a victim to our hereditary settings, right? The DNA, the genes. We're not going to be predetermined to have ADHD. We could be predisposed, meaning it's possible that if we don't turn on or off certain genes, that we will have these behaviors. The good news is, and this is why I say it's not genetic, because when you hear it's not genetic, there's nothing I can do. It's genetic, there's nothing I can do. But when I say epigenetics, it's the good news, because it shows us that we, and especially if we're dealing with a child that's been diagnosed, as the parents, there's so much we can do to actually dissolve the symptoms. I don't ever say heal. Sometimes I say it, but I like to stay away from the word healing, because it's more like rewiring your brain and then dissolving the symptoms. The symptoms are made up, right? They're labeled, like some experts in the room voted on, that's a symptom, this is not, that's a symptom. It was voted on. So it's made up. And when I say made up, I don't mean there's some validity or reality to it, of course. Symptom is a word. We use it in the medical community, scientific community, but it's still made up. It's a made up term, right? Those symptoms we can dissolve, meaning the behaviors we can change, because it's not a genetic disorder. There's actually never been a gene or a group of gene isolated to show that it's an ADHD gene. So there is no ADHD gene. There's no genes for alcoholism and cancer and so forth. There's many disorders that we all think, because we've heard it from the mainstream narrative, that it's genetic and there's a gene for it. There's actually not. So I just wanted to do a quick video about that. Do your research. And in my upcoming book, ADHD is Over, I make it clear that you have to do more research on your own. I can point you in a direction and say, research epigenetics in conjunction with ADHD and see what you find. And you'll see that the mainstream narrative around the term ADHD is genetic starts to crumble. And once you explore one of those corners where a mainstream narrative crumbles, naturally you will ask the question, what else is not really true? What else is a half truth, right? A half truth is when you tell someone half the truth and then the other half is a lie, but because they believe in the first part that's true, that they believe in, they buy the second half that's a lie. That's a half truth. And a half truth is worse than a lie, because we're adding some truth to almost manipulate the person that hears it to then believe the second half that's not true. So look that up as well. What's a half truth? And look up epigenetics and ADHD. Hope you like this information. If you do, come back for more. There definitely will be more. Cheers.